Hello, and welcome back to Ascension TV Online. I'm so excited to be here again with the beautiful Diana Savil. Thank you so much for joining me again, Diana. It's so lovely to spend all this time with you. So, I was on a beautiful call with a Violet Flame Apothecary workshop on Sunday, so I feel like I'm totally topped up with this beautiful ladies' energies. So today we're talking about tarot, and Diana, you have been a tarot teacher and master, provider, facilitator of tarot for 35 years. Is that right? That's amazing. Tell me all. How did you get into it? What drew you to tarot, and what kept you with using this?
First of all, thank you, Caroline. It's lovely to be back here again, and it was wonderful to share that workshop with you on Sunday. I
Oh,
mean,
it's
we
amazing.
all had such a glorious day. Yes, yeah, fabulous, fabulous stuff. So thank
Lovely.
you. Yes, tarot. I just love it. I just love it, love it, love it. And anyone who's had a reading with me or who I've done a course with, knows, because I keep saying, love it, love it, love it. I just absolutely do. It fascinates me still after 30 and a few years, it's still just I can't, yeah, can I say surprises? I suppose it does surprise, and yet in a way it's like, oh, again. But yeah, fabulous. Now it's kind of what I started with, and it's the thing that's stayed with me. I mean, I've dipped in, I mean, I have done all sorts of other things over the many years, but the tarot has stayed. Sometimes, like all these things, using it a lot, sometimes not so much, but it's been a constant, I think, of all the tools that I've acquired. I mean, the Reiki, yes, but that came some years after the tarot. Um, Love it. Yeah, it was sort of by accident that I got
Mhm.
into it, but as we
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah.
know, there's always a
No
higher.
accident. Yeah.
Um, my mother had wanted a tarot reading and hadn't been able to
Okay.
find anyone who would read for her. And at the time, I was working in an architects and surveyors office. And one of the other people working there, it sounds an unlikely combination, but I
Yeah,
knew
I
that
love
he
that.
read tarot. I mean, he was a really interest on many levels, very interesting person. So I asked him if he would come and do a tarot reading for my mother. She was staying over Christmas and New Year. And so he came, not New Year's Day, but the 2nd of January 1990. I remember it well. Um, did a reading for her, which, was private. I didn't see. And then he said, I've got my cards here. Would you like me to do a reading for you? And I thought, why not, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and he was, I mean, lovely, lovely guy, but quite tall, dark hair, always wore black.
Right.
And the cards he used were the Thoth tarot. And anyone who knows anything about tarot, the Thoth pack is bigger, physically bigger than many packs, and the energy of the Thoth is really powerful, too much for some people.
Right.
When years ago, when I and a partner had a crystal and new age shop and we sold tarot, I couldn't have the Thoth cards in the shop. I couldn't sell them for
Right.
a year or so. I just couldn't, the energy of them was too much. Anyway, back to the beginning.
Hey.
So he used these big, powerful cards. And I can't remember if I had a question. I might not have done because I wasn't planning to have a reading.
Sure.
Um, and I can't remember most of it, but there was one particular thing which he said. It's something personal, so I'm not going to share it, I'm afraid. But he said, "Oh, there's this." He said, "And within 6 months that'll be happening." Well, what he suggested, what he indicated at the time was like that would be. I mean, that would be beyond amazing and wonderful, but no, that's just there's no way no
Mm.
way that that would ever happen, let alone within 6 months. Um, and 6 months almost to the day, this thing unfolded. So
Right.
then, of course, it was like, okay, there's obviously something in this tarot stuff.
Sure.
So sometime after that, I said, can I have another reading? All excited. Can't remember a thing about that, except the sense was it was a bit disappointing because
Right. Yeah.
I
After the big
mean,
one.
but also knowing, Spirit needed to kind of hook me in with that first one, and then
Yeah.
it's sort of less important in a way. I mean, that's not always true, but
Yeah.
and then a young girl came to work with us in the same office, and
Mm.
we got chatting and realized we were both sort of vaguely interested in the same sort of things. And she wanted a tarot reading. Well, by that time, this guy had left, so we didn't have contact with him anymore. And she found someone else locally to do a tarot reading, went to see her, said she's amazing, you must go. And I went. And I honestly can't remember if on that first visit to her we even looked at any cards, but she opened doors for me that I didn't even know had existed and kind of answered questions I didn't know I had.
Mm.
And she was the amazing lady who led the development group that I started going to. She invited me to, and
Ah,
that's where I started with the channeling and stuff that we mentioned in our earlier conversation.
yeah.
Um, and what the many things that we used to do at her group, um, I mean, the sort of the first tier of her group, as it were, was just a gathering of people getting together, chatting about whatever, opportunity to give or receive healing, opportunity to read cards, and then once you kind of demonstrated that you knew what you were doing or there was potential, you were invited to the sort of next level up, which
Right.
that's the stage I was at when we did the channeling. But with the tarot, I mean, first reading I ever did, she literally handed me a pack of cards and said, "Do a reading for me." And I hadn't a clue,
Right.
about anything. And they were most unusual cards. I've never seen any like them since. You
Right.
know, dominoes, old-fashioned dominoes, where you
Yeah.
have, one number on each half of the domino. Well,
Yeah.
these cards were like that with completely different pictures on each half of the card. And they
Really?
didn't relate to each other. I mean, there is a school of
Wow.
thought, and I'm sure many people know that if a card is the right way up, it means one thing, and if it's reversed, it means something else. But there's
Cool.
often a connection between those two messages. Well, this kind of double pack, there was no
Wow.
link at all between the two halves of the. And I again can't remember what I said to her, and I know it would have taken a while to get any information. But that was my tarot lesson. That was kind of,
Wow.
this is how you do tarot. And then for the next, where are we, year or so, I'd go to her, or both of these development groups, the sort of, free for all one, and then the slightly more focused. And at that time, as in going back all those years, we're in the early 90s, the understanding was that you shouldn't buy tarot cards for yourself. They needed to be a gift.
Yeah, right.
And I was kind of hopefully waiting for somebody to give me a pack, but it didn't happen. And I really wanted my own pack. It's like I need these things. And another friend, wanted a tarot reading, but wasn't able to get to this lady who lived some distance away. So after much thought, I eventually decided that I wasn't actually buying the cards for me. I was buying the cards so that I could read for my friends. So it wasn't buying my cards, it was cards to give in a way to someone else. So
Yes.
anyway, we bought the cards.
Yeah.
I did a reading for her and started reading I mean, only friends, for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I started my own development group and I used to do readings there. And then
Oh,
friends, stroke clients used to come. Also, in the early days, I was thinking about this the other day. Um, I was doing some temping, um, packing makeup. It was quite an interesting couple of weeks, actually.
yeah.
Learned quite a lot. And I had no idea how anybody discovered that I can't say could read cards, but had a pack of tarot cards. But somebody discovered and said, could I do a reading? And so in the lunch hour, I did one. And then, for the next 10 days or so, I was reading. But
Oh my
we had a very short lunch break. And of course, the readings took quite a while because I wasn't that familiar with it. So I'd be kind of gobbling a sandwich while I was doing a reading. And we were sitting, I mean, this was in a warehouse
Like a
factory. I mean,
canteen, yeah. I know.
it
I've done
wasn't even,
similar work. Yeah.
it
I
wasn't
love
even in
it.
the canteen because then everyone would have seen. So we were perched on pallets in the warehouse.
Oh my God.
But the readings worked, and then it
It
kind of
connected.
expanded from there, and life unfolds. And that I started teaching. I suppose when it really became, can one say, professional, when we had our shop, 1999, a couple of years in a shop in Tunbridge Wells, and I used to do readings then. I suppose that's when it really kind of, I can't say got the stamp of approval, but I was in a sort of dedicated room and we had music played. It certainly wasn't on pallets in a warehouse, we'd
Yeah.
graduated.
Yeah.
Um, and that's also when I did my first ever tarot course, taught my first tarot course, which has evolved wildly since then, but that's a whole other story. So,
Oh my
um,
God, Diana, I love it. I absolutely love it. And do you know what keeps coming to mind, Diana, is I had a friend when I was, let me think how old I must have been, 28. It was just after I'd had my mega awakenings. And actually prior to that, I'd seen, or around that time, I'd seen my first reader, but it was a psychic, not, she didn't read the cards, she just did her thing. And and this girl had just joined the local church and she said, "Oh, I've got a gift for you." And she literally bought me about 15 packs of different cards. And
wow.
like thinking to myself, like, I really didn't take that hint, did I? Because I looked at them and I looked at all of them, and I remember doing some readings. And I remember doing a reading for a friend in who'd come up from London to visit me, and it was obviously so accurate. She was like, "Well, that's just ridiculous." And I was like, not from where I'm sat." But it was so weird because there was two parts of me. One was like, I don't really know what to do. And another part of me just was like, yeah, I know, I trust them, but I didn't. And now I have like, I don't know, 15 or so packs of different, not all tarot, like all different oracle and everything. So, but it's interesting because you obviously listened and you carried on, and it took me quite a few years to come back. And I mean, I don't do readings as a pro, but I use cards like a lot in my life. But tell me, when you got those, was it literally like what is it, Rider Waite,
Yes,
the kind of
that's,
old school original?
yeah.
Is that the tarot that you work with, or do you work with oracle cards as well, or you more specifically with that the other school of teaching?
Or sort of going back to the beginning of that question, yes, it was the dear old Rider Waite that
Mm,
the first pack I bought,
mm.
and the pack I still you I got one or two others because you can never have too many packs of tarot cards. Um, but Rider Waite, almost certainly, even now, years on, and having several other packs, is probably the one I use most. Though I do, I have, I mean, I've quite a few tarot packs. I've also got quite a few of oracle cards. For readings for other people, I mostly do just tarot, but very occasionally,
Mm.
if guided so to do, I will do the tarot reading, but then pick one usually from whichever oracle
Yeah.
pack I've been guided to, but really, it's for readings for other people, it's tarot. Although I've got a range of, I mean, the Rider Waite is traditional.
Mm,
I've also
mm.
got the herbal tarot, which is very similar
Yeah.
in image and slightly different energy to it, but
Yeah.
it's very similar to Rider Waite. But then I've also got, for example, the Osho Zen tarot, which
Oh,
is
yes, I've got that pack. That's
yeah,
amazing.
wonderful. I mean, very different images, as you know,
Sure.
very different energy.
Yeah.
Um, and although it is tarot and it does conform, to the major arcana and the four suits and so on,
Yeah.
uh, you know, the possibilities that can come through from that are very different from what
Different.
we might call
Yeah.
traditional tarot.
Yeah.
So, and I've got a couple of other packs that are, I mean, they're all the all the tarot packs I have are what we might call traditional in structure, as in they have
Mm.
the major arcana, which I can talk a bit more about in a minute in case people may not be
Yes, yes, I
certified
was
with
going to say, yeah.
experience. And then the four suits. I mean, the suits are often given different names and so on, but all the tarot packs I have follow that
Follow that
format.
format.
But the images, by definition, are different, and therefore the potential for the information that can come through is different.
Sure. Yeah, I get you. So can you tell us a bit about that? Because actually I know we had Eloise on, a fellow tarot
Yeah,
awesome lady.
I
And
know. I
I don't
was
what's that?
fascinated.
Tarot facilitator, tarot reader, right, a reader.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about the nitty-gritty. It was more the kind of around the subject. So can you tell us for the benefit of those who don't know, what is the difference with the major? It's funny, isn't it? Because I don't think I've ever heard anyone say you said arcana, and I have always just said arcana because I don't know. I've never been
I
to a
don't know.
lesson, so. But the
I have
major
the
and
same.
minor, what do they mean? What do they mean for you to those the
Yeah.
structure, and how does
I
that
mean,
play into when you're doing a reading? So
yeah. It's sort of, yeah, pronunciation. I don't know either. I've just, for whatever reason, always said arcana.
okay, cool.
I think back in my mind there is the sort of echo of it gives the wrong impression saying this, but as words, arcane teachings, which I also feel sometimes can imply sort of dark arts, and absolutely the work I do with the tarot could in no way at all be described as dark art. I mean, this is absolutely working in the light and light work.
Mm,
Um, and I'm digressing slightly, but I'll come back to
fine.
answer your question. Um, we are all aware that certainly historically, and I'm not going to get into all the politics of that, tarot was regarded by several people as evil, work of the
Yeah,
devil. Um, and I know that still today some people regard it that way, which is absolutely fine. But I also know, and I say this from many years' experience working with it and teaching it as well, and seeing what unfolds with the people who use it, that because it's like everything, it's intention. And if you
sure.
are using it with the right intention,
Yeah,
and tarot in the hands of a light worker can be an incredibly powerful healing tool. I mean,
mm,
I have had people come for readings because for some people, they will sort of see, oh, tarot reading, yes, that's kind of safe. I know what I'm doing there. Don't fancy some of these weird therapies and things, but tarot.
right.
So they
Yes,
come for a reading, but what the information that's revealed in the reading or the conversation that unfolds within that space can be, if that's what's appropriate for them at that time, profoundly healing. Uh,
sure.
I mean, obviously not every reading for every person,
Yeah,
but I've seen, it's not unusual. Let's put it that way. It's not like, one in 100. So the tarot, because the tarot, sorry, I'm digressing again, Caroline. It's just there's so many things that could be said about it, because
yeah,
the tarot is essentially a neutral tool, and it, in a way, can be. It's down to intention. It's down to intention when you use it as the outcome of the work you're doing with it, which is true of so many spiritual
sure,
things. Um, and I've got so many threads happening here that I'm losing that.
sure.
Um,
Come on.
and it's yes, there are standard meanings to the cards, which we might touch on again in a minute or two. But equally, if you work with them intuitively, which is what I do and how I teach my students to work with them, then literally anything is possible when you look at a card. If you
Yes.
learn the standard meaning, and every
Yeah.
book you read will give you something slightly different, then in a way, that's all you can offer your client
Yeah.
because that's all you know. If you almost know nothing about the cards, and trust what comes to you intuitively when you
Mm.
connect with the card, then you are able to give your client what is absolutely perfect for them on that occasion.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
in a way, in a sense, it doesn't matter what card you use. I mean, obviously it does, because that
Yeah.
kind of angles your message.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it means that people get what is perfect for them, what's
Sure.
appropriate
It's
for them for
pure
that
in
occasion,
that moment.
rather than a standard. I mean, I also know, I'm well aware that someone who uses the standard interpretations or reads the little booklet that comes with the cards, is still able to do a perfectly good reading because
Sure.
of the magic of the tarot, that the right cards appear. So,
Yeah.
you know, you look
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
card, you look in the book, you say what the book says, the person gets the information they need. But if you're working intuitively, infinitely more possibilities open up. And
Yes.
the other aspect, one of the many other aspects of the tarot, is that it opens the door to other things. For example, the Ascended Masters are linked, or can be
Mm.
linked, with the cards in the tarot. So it may be that a particular card comes up, and if we're working, like, if the information is pure tarot, that's what comes through. But equally, that card could be being used
Yeah.
as a means of saying to the client, "Oh, this card relates to so and so." We could, you know, pick our favorite. This card relates to the Ascended Master Saint Germain. And what's happening in the reading is that it's introducing, not necessarily, you know, full-blown energy or channeling or anything like that, but just making the person aware there is such a being and that he's come forward. And if they want to call upon him or
Yeah.
Google some more
Yeah.
information, they can do that. So that package of information can come through based on what comes in intuitively when a
Sure.
particular card
Yeah.
comes forward. So it's there's just yeah, and astrology. I mean, several people I know are aware, and I'm just dipping in to astrology. So I'm just starting to get a slightly bigger picture, because both tarot and astrology are vast subjects
Yeah.
of how the two can intermesh. But for someone who knows a lot about astrology, if they then learn to work with the tarot, they can bring in, you know, all their astrological information and link it to the relevant cards within the tarot. You know, the
Yes.
Kabbalah is linked with the tarot, and there's color and numbers and numerology, of course.
Yeah.
And so it's a doorway. It can be. I mean, you can also
Yeah.
do, you know, work with tarot cards as tarot cards. I mean, you know, that works. I do that a lot. But where it's appropriate for the client to be
Yes.
introduced to another world, effectively, that will be the information that comes through intuitively. But none of the tarot books will say that. As in, you know, you look in a tarot book and none of them will say, you know, this card can also mean, you know, that in numerology and that in astrology. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right.
There could be a book that does that. You know, I haven't researched it. I
No,
don't
I
know.
see. I see what you're saying. You're right there because all the packs that I've got they have the reading, don't they? But I love that you said, the less you know, the more you might, because that's what I do. I get a pack, and the last one I got actually, I was looking for a dragon. I think Diana Cooper's Dragon Oracle, because I'd not long been on a dragon workshop, and I couldn't find one. In this shop, and she had a lot of decks, and it was unicorns, and I was like, that's yeah, I just knew it was the unicorn deck. So and I didn't look at the book, I just started picking cards and like looking, and that's how I tend to work. I know, I just know what that is. It's like boom, you're like, okay, for better or for worse. But so it's interesting you say that, isn't it? Because I've often thought, oh, I'm like I feel like a cheat, a lot of things. But obviously there is, there's a part of me that's obviously intuitive. So that's how I work. But and it also interesting because often when I'm saying a coaching slash healing session, because it's never one without the other, I will get the same. I will get like, oh, I just need to look in this deck for you. Are you up for that? And I'll find a card, and it's like, to me, this is spirit, saying blah, off you go, and I do. So yeah, I love it. So let's come back to the
Let's come
basics,
back to
major and
that, please.
minor arcana.
Or indeed
Or
arcana.
arcana.
You say
I don't
tomato, I say
know.
tomato. Yes, it's that. Yeah, yes. So I mean, they're fancy words,
Yeah.
but essentially what they mean is that the major arcana are. cards that are, in simple terms, shall we say, more important messages, bigger energy. I'll come back to
Okay.
that in a second. And the minor arcana is a fancy term for what are the four suits in the tarot.
Yeah.
So with the major arcana, there are 22 cards in the major arcana, numbered, um, usually looked at as the zero being the first one and then the last one being number 21. But that oval, that egg shape that we read as a zero is in fact an ancient symbol for 22. So you could start with number one, go up to card number 21, and then place the card that is number zero at the end and let it be
Oh,
card number 22. But the major arcana, the journey through it, if you like, there's a whole series of teachings on that, and it's not something that I really work with. I don't have that in my head. But like anything in life, particularly on the spiritual journey, when you complete one phase, oh joy, you start on the next cycle. So
mm,
this 0/22 card is the sort of link between, it's the beginning of one cycle, but it's also the end of another one. So this is why you can place it in either position.
right.
Um, some of the cards in the major arcana people have heard of, even if they don't know much about the tarot, like the Death card,
Mhm.
which actually is a very, very positive card because it's all about new beginnings.
Mhm.
And in many cases, when something new starts, something,
Yeah,
even if it's something that doesn't serve anymore, has to fall away.
it's true.
But in all my many years and hundreds, and I'm certainly over 1,000, I may be into thousands of readings. The death card comes up, relatively often. It has never, ever, ever, in the readings I've done, never related to physical death for either of for the client or anyone close to them. It just,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
Um, it's actually a very positive. I mean, it can look a bit disconcerting. And if I'm doing a reading and because I turn the cards over when we start, if I turn over the death card, I will at that point say to the client, it's okay. Don't panic. It's nicer than it looks. It's very positive, because otherwise, if they're sitting there looking at the death card, they might be slightly panicking. And then the Tower is another card that people might have heard of,
Yes.
even though they may not know much about the tarot,
Yeah.
which again, it can be, I mean, ultimately it's a positive card. The key word there is ultimately, because it is about major change for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, we're all kind of living in a sort of tower time at the moment with
Yeah.
everything that's changing.
Right.
Um, and in many packs, certainly in the traditional ones, there's an image of a tower, brick built tower,
Mm.
which has been blasted apart by a lightning bolt.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I mean, everybody works with the tarot in different ways. Everyone will have their own interpretation on that card. And also, one can work intuitively with what comes at the time. But over the years, I've sort of evolved, or it's evolved by itself, my own sort of personal, like standard interpretations for cards, which if nothing is coming in intuitively, and I'm always open for that, but if nothing, then I sort of start to trot out what has become my standard. But yes, the tower is being blasted apart and it looks very destructive, but what is being destroyed is the old limitations that we've been determined to hang on to.
Right.
And like anything, the more we resist, the more effort is required to break through that and make a change.
Yeah.
And it's because we've been resisting, that it's needed something as powerful as a thunderbolt
Yes.
to blast that resistance apart,
Mm.
so that what we do need can come into being. Because the longer we keep ourselves trapped and limited in our tower of
Yeah.
resistance, we
Yeah.
can't move into the good things, the gifts that are awaiting us. So yes, it looks destructive, and yes, there will be a time of disturbance and transformation and change, which can be uncomfortable, because it depends how closely and tightly we're holding on to whatever it is that no longer serves us and we've been resisting letting go of. So it can be uncomfortable, but always when we move through that process, it will take us to a better place. And this is part of the magic of the tarot, because in a reading, I trust one would never get the Tower as the final card, where you would kind of leave your
Sure.
client going, well, I'm sorry, it's all just going to fall apart, dear,
Yeah.
and then I just have to get on with it. If it was the last card, I would turn over another one,
Yeah,
because
sure.
but almost always it comes within, like
Then
a
the
journey, a
messages.
process,
Sure.
so that you can say to the client, yes, this is challenging, and yes, this may not be easy this phase, but look, this is where it takes you. This is what becomes possible afterwards.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, the Tower is not as bad as some people might think. So there's yes, but the major arcana cards, I feel, obviously I'm speaking from my experience. Other people will look at them differently, but I think generally it's agreed that the major arcana cards carry more energy,
Mm.
so that the information that they offer is a kind of louder message. I mean, not always, there's always, flexibility and so on, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, also, if in a reading for someone there were either all major arcana cards or there were a lot of them, that in itself would indicate that that person, whether they were aware of it or not, how should we say, was quite in spiritual, energetic terms, was quite powerful, and sort of had quite a presence.
Mm.
Um, and I will often comment, if that is the case, I'll often comment on that at the beginning of a reading and sort of say, well, clearly, you need to be here because there's work you need to be doing, sort of
Mm.
thing. So yeah, major arcana, and then the minor arcana are the four suits, which traditionally, I mean, there's lots of different packs that give them different labels, but swords, which are often considered to relate to the mental level,
Right.
wands, which are often considered to relate to spirit, also growth, of course, because they're in the traditional packs they're depicted as like living twigs, bits of wood that have leaves sprouting out. There's life force, there's energy, there's vitality.
Sure.
Cups, which relate to water, which often are linked with emotions. And
Sure.
then pentacles, sometimes called discs, or sometimes called coins, which relate to the earth plane, to the material plane.
Mm-hmm.
People often think because they look like coins, that they relate to money. Uh, they do, insofar as money is one of the aspects of the material plane,
Yep, I see.
but they're not about money as
Money.
such.
Yep, I
I mean,
see.
necessarily. I mean, in a reading, one of
Yeah.
the cards might be, but it's not like that suit is about money. That
Sure.
suit is about the material plane, the physical plane, and the element is earth. And the suits have 1 to 10 or 8 to 10, but then they have four court cards, not like the three court cards that we have in traditional, ordinary playing cards. They have got, come on, brain, you can do this. I'll get
Page.
there. Page, knight, queen, king. It's just some of the packs are slightly different, and my head was kind of going all over. So
Yeah.
yes, page, knight, queen, king of whichever suit it is. Swords, cups, or whatever. The the cards of the suits, the minor arcana, have the capacity, especially if one's working intuitively, to bring through extremely powerful messages. But generally speaking, the messages are sort of less loud, shall we say, than the information that may come through from the major arcana.
Mm.
But this is far from an absolute, far from
Yes,
cut and
yes,
dried. But
yes.
generally speaking, um, the suits are sort of lesser. I mean, there's also quite a recognized school of thought that with the major arcana, each of the cards, represents an archetype.
Mm.
Not something I work with, so I can't speak to that, I'm afraid. But it's the information is out there, and a lot of people will work with it in that way. Also, sort of the journey through the major arcana is also considered to be, a journey through life or through the spiritual. Again,
Yeah.
not something I consciously work with, so
Okay.
I
That's
have no information on
interesting.
that.
That's interesting, isn't it? So it's is ha interesting how people interpret it, because that's the thing I'd always thought, that that's the journey. They represent it because it's the fool, right? And then you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on
yeah,
and da da da.
yeah.
And what I was just seeing then is with the major arcana being, or arcana being the major pinpoints, or forks in the road, or things like this, and the minor ones, how you get there, like how it will feel or something, and or what else is around. So that's how I was just seeing it, like they're big ingredients, and then the kind of water that goes around it or something. So yeah,
But everybody, yeah, I mean, we're all unique, but everybody works with tarot in a different way. And what you're sharing there, Caroline, yes, many people will, that's how they see the tarot, and that's fine. There is no right or wrong.
yes,
I'm speaking purely from my own, what has unfolded for me in
yeah,
my tarot journey over the years, and all I can say, is this is how I work with the cards. But they are, such a sort of flexible and infinitely possible tool that yes, of course, not quite true to say you can do anything with them, but certainly the possibilities they offer, I feel, again, this is all my personal opinion,
sure, sure.
are significantly wider than might be considered if so people take the traditional route of
I
this is what the tarot does, this is what it's like.
I've got
I'm not
you.
dismissing that in any means, because that's how that works for some people, and that will readings done that way will work for the clients that go to those people.
Sure.
I'm simply talking about the way that I work with them, and therefore also of course the way that I teach it, though
Teach.
teach kind of becomes debatable, because really what I'm doing in my tarot courses is supporting and enabling and assisting my students to discover that they can intuitively read tarot for themselves.
I've got you. Yeah. So you're
So it's
helping
not
with the
a,
intuition rather
yeah,
than a
yeah, completely.
core.
I mean,
Yeah.
we work, when of course we work with, because we could say, and I've had this conversation with people before, you could say, well, if it's all intuition, what do you need the cards for? Which
Yep.
is perfectly true,
Yep.
except despite all this, I'm not, would I trust my intuition? Not necessarily, to suddenly go, right, I see you making a journey over water. But the cards do have a great value. They are a kind of hook, or it can also be seen as a
Anchor.
doorway for the reader to
Yeah.
connect with. But more important than that, they're very useful for the client, because if someone, and I know there are people who read this way, I mean, they're not doing tarot readings, but they're reading and giving information, fabulous. Whatever works, there's so many possibilities of connecting and getting information. But if you're working with tarot, then to be able to point to a detail on the card and say to the client, sort of, yes, things will get better, look, you can see that pathway, it's leading to the sun, then the client has something to actually, something
Something
tangible
tangible.
to hang the information that you've given onto. I mean, the cards are of great value.
I
Even though
really
the way I work and encourage my students to work is intuitively, we
yes.
still need the cards.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I need
really
you. Don't start thinking I don't need the cards. I don't need to buy any more tarot cards. Yes, I do. I do. You can never
yeah.
have too many tarot cards. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because what I am seeing with, say, with the unicorns, like I've seen unicorns in the etheric, if that makes sense, with my third eye, not kind of, I think all horses, their higher selves are unicorns, but that's another story. But but actually, because I have, like a lot of people, I don't always have the confidence that I'm trusting that the unicorn really wants to be my friend. I'm
Yeah.
doing a lot of work with the unicorn cards right now. They're by my bed because there is something in my child that doesn't really trust that those beings want to help me, or so there's something. So every time read, pick a card, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see you, I can kind of tune in again. So to me, it tangibilizes, if that's even a
Yeah.
word,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is in the other. It brings it down, doesn't it? A bit like, out of that pack that I was given, that stack of packs, shall we say, it was the runes actually that really, I actually gave away a lot of them, which happens to me a lot. I think I get overwhelmed, like, oh, I could see the potentiality of all of them. They were absolutely gorgeous, all sorts of decks, but it was almost, it was too much, and I kept the runes, you know, and it's what speaks to us, you know. And I've had a rune reading actually with an amazing guy, and he um pulled out, I said, oh, what's one thing that I need to know? And it was actually whatever meant intuition. He goes, I get the feeling you're very intuitive. And I was like, yeah, maybe. But it's, for me, I almost, because my psychic spidey thing has been claircognizance, which is, I think, the hardest one to know that it's a thing. So if you're clairvoyant, you see spirit straight away. It's obvious you're seeing spirit, you know what it is. If you just know stuff, you really can go, where did that come from? Because it just comes from thin air. So anyway, digressing. But yeah, to me, what you're saying then is that the cards, and it's the same with oracle cards, really, isn't it? That's why there's so many, I think, because they're anchoring here what is just waiting there that we may not trust. So can I ask you, do you say, because when I work with clients, I open a space, I call in high self guides, angels, asked to be put in a sacred space. Do you do something similar so that you're calling in that absolute, this is my intention?
Yeah. Yes, yes, I do. I mean, any work I do, I basically sort of make the same preparation for it. But absolutely, yes, for the tarot. I mean, it's, you know, again, and other people can use the tools that they have and so on. But yes, as I probably mentioned to you before, you know, my still the favorite go-to sacred stroke protected space, violet seven-pointed star that comes with the
Oh,
violet flame chakra awakening. Of all the
yes.
tools I've acquired over the years, the
Yeah.
violet seven-pointed star, I feel, and therefore because I feel
Yeah.
it's, you know, the best, most effective, it will be kind of thing. You know, you have to believe in the process you're using. So yes, I mean, I know many people um, are very aware of their guides, and many people also say they have a healing guide and they have a whatever guide and a tarot reading guide. I've, or not for many years, I haven't consciously kind of, I'm not, may have a tarot guide, but I'm not aware of
Sure.
him,
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it is very much a process of connecting. That's the
Yeah.
best label I can
Yeah.
give it.
I
But yes,
understand.
absolutely, that, you know, my energy is where it needs to be as far as one can make it. So, and we're working in, whether I'm doing it in person or on Zoom, you know, in a protected stroke sacred space.
Mm,
um yeah, absolutely, because the information that one gets, or what happens when one works with the card, is determined primarily by intention,
mm,
by placing oneself and the work that one is doing in that kind of an energetic sacred space. You know, this is all announcing to the universe, you know, declaring, you know, this is what we're doing, this is the level that we're working at.
yeah.
um, and so is what enables, well, among other things, but this is what enables the higher information and the healing and the transformation, if that's what's needed, to take place.
Yes. I
Um, and
understand.
it's, I mean, that's a long answer to your question, but yes, absolutely.
Answer.
You know,
Answer.
whatever the physical location, I mean, I can't promise. Years ago, when I was doing the tarot readings in my lunch hour, sitting on a pallet in a warehouse, I honestly can't remember what I used to do with
Right.
regards to
Yeah.
protection, because I can't remember what I knew of in those
Yeah.
days. I mean, we're
Yeah.
going back a long way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but certainly, you know, as one learns more about these things, I would always, and for, well, however many years, 12 years now since I've acquired the Violet Seven-Pointed Star, you know, that's the space that I work in.
Oh,
Um,
love that.
yeah, yeah.
Diana, can you tell us then how people can work with you with the tarot? You offer readings in person and online, and what else? Because you've something.
So many possibilities, so many possibilities. Yes,
Love
yes, I do readings. Not so many in person these days, though I still will. And I'm in East Sussex, so obviously, you know, geography comes into it. But readings on Zoom, yes, absolutely. Doing those more and more. Love it. I mean, just, you know, tarot, love it, love it, love it. I also have got some courses coming up, which I'll talk about in a moment, if I may. But
Mhm.
at the moment, and then we'll be starting again from August, have a fortnightly like tarot group, I suppose you might call it, exploring tarot, which is pretty much what it says on the tin. It's on a
Yeah,
Tuesday evening. All the information's on my website,
right.
um, and it's not teaching as such, absolutely not, and it's not necessarily reading for everybody, but it's literally people coming to. We've got a tiny little. We had a larger group last year, which was great, and then several of them did my online tarot course, which was also great. And what I'm so pleased about is following on from doing that course, that same little course group still meet once a week to work with tarot online,
Amazing.
which I did.
Wow.
But it's wonderful. I am really pleased because they've obviously really taken the tarot and are loving it. But
Yeah,
it means my exploring tarot group kind of shrunk.
shrunk.
So we're a tiny group at the moment, but perfectly formed and glorious people coming to it. But it's open. You don't need any tarot experience, but equally, it's
Great.
open to people who are working with the cards because everyone works differently, and it's fascinating to hear different people's view on certain things, or they may well have information that I don't. And people can ask questions if they want to. We do usually pick a card, and everybody sort of has a go at saying what they get from that card. But there's no expectation, no pressure. If you don't want to say anything, you don't have to.
Great.
So it's very relaxed, free for. So that's on a, as I say, we've only got a couple more before I start the online course, but we'll be starting again in August. Um, and then I've got my online tarot course, June and July, again, Tuesday evenings, which is
Yeah,
why we're not doing the exploring. Um, 4 weeks, which is the foundation course, which is pretty much is that will equip you to read tarot for yourself or someone else.
yeah,
Um, Intuitively, it's all working with intuition, and you'll practice reading cards for yourself, for others on the course. And
yeah.
the joy of that is, I mean, I know they can all read intuitively, I know everybody can do that. It's
Yeah.
just getting people to discover that they can.
Oh,
So by working with the cards and the people on the course, if you're looking at a card and you're getting some information, when you might think it's rubbish, but when you say it to one of your fellow students and they go, oh, yes, absolutely, it shows you that what you're getting is right.
I get you.
So, it literally shows them that, it works and they can do it.
Yes.
I mean, it's fabulous to watch. Um, and we learn a bit about the major arcana, we learn a bit about the minor arcana, and they get notes to refer to in the future.
Mhm.
So it's working with intuition. There's none of this, learn all 78 card meanings. Um, and some practical information about things to bear in mind when you're doing a reading. It's designed to make people feel confident enough to go on working with the cards,
Yeah.
as well as giving them practice in discovering that they can read intuitively. So
Yes.
4 weeks, we achieve all that in 4 Tuesday evenings. No
Beautiful.
homework. Well, I mean, they can practice by themselves if they want to, by all means, but it's not hard work.
Yeah.
It's fun. And then after that, we've got 4 evenings, the end of June into July, with additional modules where people who've done the foundation can do those as well if they wish, or not if they don't want to. But the additional ones are open to anyone, and we look at the association of the Ascended Masters with the major arcana, and we look at numerology and numbers and colour and various other things that astrology. You don't need to know in order to do an effective tarot reading, but if you're interested in
Yes.
these other things,
I see.
then it can add an extra facet to the possibilities that can
I
come
see.
through for you when you're using the cards.
Yeah.
So that's the online course, June and July. Details on my website.
Yeah.
Um, and I haven't got dates set for what I'm about to describe, but they will happen at some point. Over the years, my tarot courses have evolved. I've done them sort of spread over several weeks. I've done a day way back when there wasn't so much information. Then I used to do a 2-day course for quite a while. Then
Sure.
it expanded to 3 days. Now it's been taken another leap forward, and I've now got 3 in-person tarot courses. One is
Beautiful.
a 2-day one, which is essentially the foundation that we do
Yeah.
online. It's sort of essential tarot, equips you to read. Then
Yeah.
we've got the more tarot, which is like the additional modules, but some extra things as well, which is bringing in Ascended Masters astrology,
Yeah.
things like.
Really
And
good stuff.
then we have the new one, which I am so excited about, Deep Tarot,
Ah,
which is working. I mean, all of this is intuitive, but this is meditation with the cards and connecting with them, to do with connecting within your own being, and where are the cards going to take you, and what are they going to reveal to you about yourself, just and sharing on a deeper, higher level. And the magic of this one, this is residential in Glastonbury. We are staying in the
oh,
most glorious venue in Glastonbury in September. This has dates, this has people
you.
already booked on it, but we
Oh,
have some
wow.
spaces. And I'm really looking. It's 3 days. You arrive on the Friday night, and we've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday tarot, but also space in the day to go and
Go and have a
do
look.
Glastonbury, tour, chalice, well, all of it. And then so
Beautiful.
arrive on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is tarot with a bit of Glastonbury thrown in, then I leave on the Tuesday morning. But
Oh,
I'm really, that is going to be uh, a deep, I don't like the phrase deep dive, so many people use it, but going deeply into the tarot, but also a journey in. We're kind of using the tarot as a means of journeying in and healing, transformation, whatever unfolds.
beautiful.
Yes, so there's those
So
exciting.
exciting.
I know, I
That's
know, I
great.
know.
I'm like, I want to come. I want to come to it all. Can I ask you, a question that has arisen that
Mm,
like and this is on, there's a personal thing in here because
mm,
got taught to do angel card readings when I did
mm,
my angel healing course, and I never took it forward, but I know that when I call in space, certainly on that course, people who were psychic or clairvoyant, they'd always see a lot of spirit around me. And I often have people go, wow, you've got a big
mm.
team. Like, okay, thanks. I didn't know that. And so I often think, and somebody actually said, oh, you're here to be a medium. And I was like, thanks. That was a bit of but what is it? How am I saying it? Is your course accredited? And what, like, because I have thought I'd love to do readings. People don't like you said, you have to know you want to do healing to get a healing, but a lot of people have a reading, right? And I work deep when I'm doing coaching. It's deep, deep work. I call it quantum shamanism, quantum age shamanism, really, but um yeah, not everyone wants to knowingly do that, but tarot readings or card readings, I'll do it. So if somebody does your courses, is it accredited so that they can go and get the piece of insurance that they need to go and do a reading? Like, what is there a thing?
The answer I'm going to give to your question, Caroline, and it's a very valid question. Thank
Mm,
you for asking it. Is an absolutely personal answer. This is my own personal
okay. Yeah.
view on this.
Yeah.
No, the course isn't accredited for two reasons.
Sure.
One, because partly because it keeps evolving and it
Yeah.
can be different every time. And
Yeah.
if it's accredited, you've got to have something
Yeah.
to have the boxes
Yeah. Yeah.
ticked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and because I'm conscious of the number of people that might be listening to this, but but the work that I do, certainly the work I do these days, is it doesn't fit into boxes. So
Sure.
I'm not into personally. Remember,
Yeah.
I'm speaking purely personally.
Yeah.
Not into. But back to the insurance question.
Sure.
There is also that there's a legal situation where if one is doing, and perhaps I should have declared this at the beginning of our conversation, but I will say it now for the record. If one is doing a tarot reading or talking about doing tarot readings, actually, I probably should have said it sooner, but we'll say it now, then we're covered. Um, One is legally required to declare that the reading is for entertainment only.
I see. Yes. Yes. I have heard this.
Has been
Yes, that's
said.
yeah.
We have it on record. Therefore, and this is my opinion, my personal opinion.
Sure.
Therefore, if it's for entertainment only, how would
Yes.
you get insurance and
Sure.
why would you need it? Because if somebody
Got you.
complained or well,
Yeah.
That was just a bit of
Just
fun.
fun.
Did
It's
you not
fun.
realise?
I really hear you, Diana. And you know what? This rings a bell for me because I know one of my big shadow healing things in this lifetime is to heal the witch wound. And I have seen a lot of lives where I've something
Mm.
has happened. Um, and I think personally, I get very wrapped up in, oh, is the thing I'm doing, is it, am I ticking all the legal box because of the fear of persecution? And if you don't actually have that, you just go off and do your thing because I want that should be the way. Like my heart says, just give me the clients. Like, why the hell do I need a piece of, like, I know this stuff, the most profound thing, it comes from here. It doesn't come because I learned it. You can't learn, it's not like that. So yeah, thank you for that. That's a very
But, yeah.
very perfect wisdom about that.
But
Yeah.
I do, it's as with all these things, different people have different views,
Yeah.
and there are people who choose to have, to do accredited things and to have the insurance, and that is fine. That's their journey.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's just not where I'm coming from,
No,
and
I hear
therefore,
you,
of
Diana.
course, because we know how it works,
Yeah.
my students don't ask that question
Sure.
because
So that is very
that's not.
much me. That's very much it is so honestly, I get tied up in knots. And actually I was on a call last night, 4-hour seminar. It was absolutely incredible. And it was all about healing the
Mm.
persecution wounds. And I could feel the shifts were going on. So Diana, thank you so much. So we will put all of the links. If you want to reach out, honestly, I'm part of me's going, I want in on this because I mean I've
Oh,
got all my decks. But again, yeah, I didn't do that thing to tell me that I can do this. I haven't been to loads of psychic circles and all the stuff. I just muddle my way through like a lot of us do. So I can see you doing something there. Are you doing a little
I
reading
know.
or
I was going
something?
to say before we go, it really feels to pick at least one card for you, Caroline. We may get a
Okay.
couple. If that, would you be okay
Yes,
with that?
I
Are
am
we all
very
right?
up for that. You can see Diana
And I'm
in her
usually,
magic.
when I do a reading, well, always that's the sort of step one is intuitively selecting which pack to use because they have slightly different images and that opens
Right.
doors to slightly different. However, because I knew we were talking about tarot, I thought I better, be equipped just in case. I have, and it is literally my very, very old, 30 something year old pack of the
The
Rider Waite,
original.
which
Amazing.
is, as I say, the pack I still. Okay, and I'm just shuffling the cards now, and
Okay.
either one or two will fall out, or I'll pick them. But as I do that, I can feel the energy changing. So clearly, this is the right thing for
Beautiful.
us to be doing. Okay, just okay.
Mm.
Sorry, bear with me because I'm just
Mm.
doing. That's not what we got.
Doing what you
Okay,
do.
so the first card that came out was the Wheel of Fortune,
Interesting.
which is not. I mean, at first glance, it looked a bit like a roulette wheel, especially because it's talking about fortune, but that's not what we're looking at. It's about, I mean, generally speaking, but there is something specific for you in this as well. It's about continuing change. The wheel is eternally turning,
Yeah.
it never stops. So, which is kind of great if someone's going through challenging times because it's like, this, they will improve.
Mm.
But if one's having a fabulous time, you kind of think, no, 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 can we not anchor the wheel?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
mean that better times won't follow. But this, I mean, in a way, this is true for all of us. But this is coming through for you, Caroline. That
Cool.
that at the moment you are in a process of experiencing particular change. I'm not going to say the
Yeah.
wheel is like whizzing round, but
Yeah.
it's sort of so many things are in the process of change, yes, but it's transformation. And that's what you need to hold on to, that it's not just change, to shake things up or make things complicated. There's a process of transformation
Mm.
taking place, and it's bigger and deeper and higher than you might think. I mean, we're all collectively at the moment moving through massive process of transformation, but this is you specifically at the moment, and things that you have been doing, you may be moving into questioning, should I be continuing or is it time to let them go? And things which you've been seeing sort of as possibilities or approaching for a while are now not exactly coming into your grasp, but they're coming clearer into view so that you can more clearly make a decision of, do I do this? Do I do this? So, but there is also this sense of things coming together, but it's still, I'm sorry to say, it's still like a kaleidoscope that,
Mm.
you think, oh yeah, this is how it's all going to be. And then you just twist the kaleidoscope a bit first. Oh, actually, no, we're
Yeah.
changing again. That stays and that goes and that moves into that position.
Oh gosh,
This is
yes.
going to, I mean, we haven't got into this, but I don't do predictions as such. There's
Sure.
lots of reasons for that, but we haven't time to go into that one.
Yeah.
But I do, if I get a sense of something, I will give it. And the sense is, I'm sorry to say, this is going to carry on for a little while. I can't say how long a little while is because it's never about time. It's always about energy.
Yeah.
So it's until the energy gets into the form that it is meant to be in for you. I
Yeah.
mean, also we're all in the middle of, a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
energy changing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but so it's like kind of just easy to say, allow this process of inner upheaval and rearrangement to go on for a while longer, because it is all positive. It is all taking you to, cliche, but a better place than you might have imagined you could get to. And there's actually quite a bit of emotion with that phrase. So it's like hang in there
Yeah.
because you are doing better than you think you are within the midst of this process of change.
Mhm.
And changes are taking place that relate not only to this lifetime but many other lifetimes as well. So there's a whole, on so many levels reshuffling going on, but everything is going to come together into what is literally a new picture. And that when it does so, you will find yourself in a better place. It's almost like a better place than you ever thought you could be. That
Yeah.
sort of sense is there with that.
Yeah. Oh God, I take that. I
But
literally
for the
that
moment, and yeah,
the
sorry, but yeah,
kaleidoscope, that
don't
is
shoot.
just it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it has been like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this
yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
That's
no,
it.
okay,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna write
Yeah,
this. Oh no, I'm not. I
yeah,
honestly, it's just so strange, but I know I can feel the shifts happening, and it's yeah, just
yeah.
kind of deep breaths,
Yeah, that's it. That's
you
it.
know, find the
Absolutely.
thread of presence because
Yeah,
I can sense that something will good will come. But thank you. That's a
it
very,
will. No, it
very
will. It
helpful.
will.
Ooh.
So yeah, good. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. My goodness me. I mean, we talked about maybe we would do you know, you'd pull a card for the collective or me or
I
something
know, but
to show your you in your magic, and that really was. You were really in the flow there, weren't you? So
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you, all the beings that brought that through and
yeah,
brought culminated in that for because
yeah,
that's it's not it's funny, isn't it? Because even though it's like, oh, having you spirit saying and it's okay, it's oh okay then. It's not because I'm just messing up because
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't,
yeah,
you know, it's there's a
yeah,
thing in
yeah.
process. And that to me is why tarot, oracle, you know, readings they're confirmation, aren't they, and comfort.
Yes, this is also perhaps something quite important to squeeze in before we finish. That
Mm.
it's probably not as true now as it used to be, but I know that there was a time when people saw tarot as fortune telling and predicting the future. Some people work with it in that way, but again, back to me. As I don't do predictions for a variety of reasons, but a reading can offer so many things other than that. I mean, as you exactly confirmation. I mean, that was a wonderful demonstration, if you like, of someone's going through whatever they're going through, but if they can be shown that actually it is okay or there will be a positive outcome, they makes them feel so much better. Also, things people might be thinking that they're thinking or planning to do, and then it's sort of affirmation that yes, you're on the right track,
Yeah.
can bring clarity into, we all get lost in the wood for the trees, and it can, bring clarity, can also show us, kind of help us see the bigger picture in a situation, which again helps us understand why we're moving through what we're moving through. And also, many a time, a reading will offer tools or remind us of tools we already have that we can use in a certain situation to, help us manage it more effectively. I mean, what a reading can offer is again so much wider than, this will predict your future.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Ah. Thank you so much, Diana. And as always, we could continue for a
Yeah.
long, long time because I love it. As I said, when I if I ever have that inspiration, I think, oh, and I can feel myself going into the place that you've just gone into, where I kind of slightly look over there, and I'm like, because this information's coming, and it does feel amazing, which is, I suppose, that was that my personal question of like, oh, if you do this course, like, what does it mean? Do you get to go and do those? Because
Well,
maybe that's
yes,
what's on the horizon for me. Who
but,
knows? Maybe that's
but
part of the
yes,
better place.
but yes, you do,
Yes,
because that's. I mean, it sounds a bit grand to say it, but that's working
absolutely.
intuitively in action, as it were.
Yeah,
So yes, I mean, it as with many things, when you're starting, you get, just a word or a sentence or whatever, and it may not flow so freely because the other major key to it all is, of course, trusting what you
trust.
get.
Sure.
But I mean, this isn't like, you haven't got to do it for 30 years before it works that way.
Yeah,
I've seen people come on a course
yeah.
and, once they've got it.
You
And
got
then,
it. And then that's
it
it.
just, and
Yeah.
the other magical thing, I mean, tarot itself is gloriously magic, of course, but the other magical thing is as somebody learns to believe in and trust their intuition, they can use it in whatever field they want. It's not limited to tarot, nor is it limited to spiritual work.
Yes.
It's kind of,
Yes.
once you learn to trust in that guidance that we all have access to, sort
Oh,
of kind
it
of the world is your
changes.
oyster or
It
whatever
really
you.
is, isn't it? Which is funny because I think that's why part of me is like, what's wrong with me? I can't get a hook because I get this little whisper and I start going, oh, I'll do, and then something happens and I'm like, oh, the kaleidoscope has just changed. I'm like, "Argh." But yeah, I mean, I have had the sense there's a me acuerdo, Maha. There's a process and that's fine with that. So, oh, Diana, thank you so much. If you would like to reach out to Diana, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer if you've got any more questions that you'd like to ask about the course or any of the other way, or just go right out and get a session because they are so life-changing and helpful. And it's sometimes as well, it's that taking the time for yourself, having that
Yeah, yeah.
moment where you're like, okay, it is okay for me to take stock and take that moment, whether it's your own card practice or meditation. It's another moment, isn't it, of anchoring and a pause. So, it is a crazy time in the world right now. So if you feel like you need that, of
Can I just squeeze in one more quick thing? Sorry,
course.
again, people often think that learning to work with tarot is about doing readings for other people. Of course, you can do that.
Mm,
And there used to be a school of thought that said you mustn't read tarot for yourself. No time to go into that now. Come on
mm.
the course, we'll discuss it further.
Yes.
But part of what I really want to sort of spread, because I know what the huge difference it meant for me, and this is particularly why the other courses too, but the deep tarot particularly, the tarot can be such an incredibly powerful tool for oneself,
Mm,
for personal growth. And
yeah,
you've got this tool readily available for guidance, confirmation, reassurance, whatever you're looking
mm,
for, literally in the palm of your hand.
yeah,
So absolutely you can use it for yourself,
sure.
and you can do that. You need never read for anyone else. Though I
Yes.
suspect once you start playing with it all, you'll be wanting to use it in as many ways as you can. But this is not only about learning to do readings for other people. This is something for you. Can be a great gift for yourself.
Yeah, I see. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Thank you, Diana, for joining me. And please do reach out. All the details will be down in the comments there. And we wish you a wonderful rest of your day. The sun's shining here, so I'm going to be going out now and getting some nature time.
Thank you so much for this, Caroline. I mean,
So
I'm
welcome.
quite keen on the tarot, so any opportunity to talk about it, I love it.
Yeah,
So thank you
yeah.
so much for this. It's been, as I knew it would be, a real joy and pleasure to share this with you and all the lovely people that are going to be watching it. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And perhaps when you've been through your journey with all the workshops, maybe you could come back and share us the more tarot. You could come and share some of that work with us because you're so right, isn't it? It's funny. I've gone on to think, oh, about reading for other people, but you're so right. It's about our own journey as well. So lots to talk about there in another episode, I'm sure. Diana, thank you so much. And thank you for our viewers. Come again. Do check in, subscribe if you like it, share with your friends, share this beautiful lady's work with the world, because we all need that little bit of help along the way. So thank you again, and we'll see you again soon on Ascension TV Online. Bye for now.